Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today as we start to explore Sun's move into Sagittarius, along with everything else that's going on right now. So let me share my screen. So here we are with Sun moving into Sagittarius. I'm Ramdas Sinclair, and I want to thank you for joining me today, which is the last episode in this series for 2020 of studying the Sun's movements. And thank you for joining me all year long. I really enjoy doing this. So that's all my contact information at the bottom of the screen. This webinar is hosted by the American College of Vedic Astrology. And as always, I'm sharing the different things that I've found. What happened there? The different things I found. The Aqua store still continues to be a great place to explore. If you have a question about a topic or something comes up, it's a great place to check out. There's so many recordings and there's new ones being added, so it's a good resource for you. Also, this webinar will be posted on YouTube as later on today, so it's available. We have a newsletter that you can join at the link provided on the screen. And as always, it is the end of the year. We are a nonprofit organization in the US, so if you have your charitable giving plan for the year, I hope you'll include Aqua. It will really help to support the organization. So let's start with our mantras. Just take a breath and relax. Sit back. Let your eyes drift closed. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha. Om Adityaye Somaye Mangalaye Budhaya Cha Guru Shukra Shanibhyascha Rahuve Ketuve Namaha. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sagandham Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Amrita. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sagandham Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Amrita. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sagandham Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Mokshiyam Amrita. So today we're going to be working with Sun in Sagittarius. We're going to, first of all, take a look at the chart, see what's going on right now. There's a lot of other planetary activity going on in this next month that we'll be talking about. And then I'll go through with a few ideas about how each sign may experience this transit. And as always, we have time for questions and discussion at the end. If during the presentation, if you have questions, please don't hesitate to go ahead and put them in the comment box or, or the question box. I'm not sure which one it is on this. Now that I'm half Zoom and half GoToWebinar, I get confused. Because today I also want to thank, we have Bhagya, who is one of the Aqua staff members here, and so she will be helping me at the end to process any questions. So don't hesitate if something comes up. We'll have time to talk about that at the end. So the Sun moves into Sagittarius on December 15th, and he will be there up until January 13th. The timing in this presentation is all based from Seattle, Washington, which is West Coast in the US, just so you know. So here is the chart. So the Sun moves into Sagittarius on the 15th at 8:02 a.m. here in Seattle, Washington. And as I look at this chart, the first thing that pops out to me is Sun and Moon are both in Sagittarius. And it's interesting because the moon moves 13 degrees 20 minutes a day. So this is exactly kind of one day after the new moon that occurred at the end of the final degrees of Scorpio. The second thing I see is that K2 is only 5 degrees away from the sun, as he's at 25 degrees of Scorpio. So this is a total solar eclipse that will be happening on Monday, what's today, 13th, 14th? Monday the 14th. We have our final eclipse of the year, and it is a total solar eclipse. The third confounding factor here is that the sun will be transiting through the Gandanta point. So the Gandanta point is the last, I think it's like the last 40 to 42 minutes of Scorpio and the first minutes of Sagittarius. So this is the most troublesome of all of the Gandanta points. And we have really seen this on display this year as Jupiter has moved through it. Saturn and Jupiter have both moved through the Gandanta. And so what a Gandanta means, a knotted energy. So this is just a very difficult transition. I'm starting to think as I look at 2021, however, that as the sun is moved over and is now on the other side of the Gandanta, it's like he goes through the rapids on like a river where it's all rocky and turbulent. And now once he gets out of there, which will be by the end of the 15th, by the next day, he gets into smoother water. Now he is in Sagittarius, which is ruled by Jupiter. And as you can see, Jupiter and Saturn are in war on the day that he enters the sign. And technically, there's some debate on this, but the lower, faster moving planet would win. So Jupiter's energy is there. However, Jupiter is in his debilitated sign of Capricorn. So, and most importantly, on December 21st, we have what the whole year has kind of been leading up to is the Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. And so that will be occurring on December 21st. So we can see right here at the top of the chart with all these planets clustered right together, there's a lot going on. And so that just means to me that it's, this is surprise, 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 there's going to be turbulence over the next month. In the United States, we're facing the transition between two administrations, and it's not breaking news that that's not going smoothly. And I don't see that this will necessarily smooth out. However, there is one thing I see that is helpful here, and that is as we look at Mercury, which is in the 12th house, and Jupiter in the second house, this forms an Ubhayachari yoga where he has benefics on both sides of him. Now, it's not pure because we do have some malefics there, but this will strengthen the whole chart. And then now as I'm looking, the other thing I see is that Mercury is combust. So this just, I think we're gonna have the more turbulence up front. Once we get past this, I think things will smooth out and we'll start to find the new rhythm for this. The other thing I should mention here is that in a way, this is the end of a cycle because in the middle of January, when Sun moves into Capricorn, that is Makar Sankranti. So there's the solar zodiac, which we've talked about in this series, is divided into two halves. 6 months in the bright half, when the Sun moves from Capricorn until he moves into Cancer, and then the dark half, the Cancer movement up through the end of Sagittarius. So it's very interesting to see that this is, I would be looking for a lot of things to complete. If you have things in your own life, this is a great time to also work on finishing them up before the middle of January, because I believe we'll have a change in tone. The brighter half as the Sun moves through it is more external, like external forces. The Sun is more visible to us. In the northern hemisphere, the sun grows longer. So we have, like, this is the last month where we're really kind of like synthesizing things, wrapping them up, finishing them out. Don't let them drag over. This, you know, we all procrastinate a little bit, but I wouldn't spend too much time doing that. The other thing I will say is that we have Mars aspects the Sun and Moon by Rashi Drishti, because all the mutable signs, Sagittarius, Pisces, Gemini, and Virgo, are in mutual reception. So Mars is also contributing to the Sun, aspecting it. As we know, Mars aspects tend to bring more tension and anger. It's not a supportive aspect. But the Sun himself shares the fire sign, so I think it's not as crucial. And we have Sun located in Sagittarius, which is a friendly sign for him, as he and Jupiter are friends, and it's also a fire sign. So fire at its core is about transformation, and this is yet another way we see that we are in a very active period of transformation that's going to move forward. So let's see if I got, these are my notes on it. Let's see if there's anything else I missed. Sun is in Sagittarius. This is a friendly sign because Sagittarius is ruled there, which means in effect that Sun will be giving, Sun is a sattvic planet, and so he's stretching for higher goals and higher wisdom. And so as he finishes out the dark half of his transit, he is, you know, we are beginning to look towards the light. We can even say the light at the end of the tunnel will be coming for us, you know, more clear for us. The sign Lord Jupiter is placed in the second, where he is debilitated. Jupiter's at war with Saturn, and he's moving towards that conjunction on the 21st. So it'll be interesting to watch this in musical terms, this crescendo of energy that's coming out. It will be very dystonic. I mean, you know, I think it's not a harmonious conjunction, but they are coming together. I should mention for everyone that's not aware of this, Sun, Jupiter, and of course Saturn are only together in the same sign every 20 years. And every 60 years right now, we're in a cycle where they meet in Capricorn. And what's unique about that Capricorn conjunction is that Saturn owns the sign and Jupiter is debilitated in the sign. So this adds a little bit of a stronger flavor to it, because one's at his weakest point and one's very close to the strongest point. The Sun is conjunct the Moon, so this talks about we're coming right out of a solar eclipse. And that will be at 28 degrees of Scorpio, and we spoke about the Gandanta as well. And we talked about the mutual aspect by Rashi Drishti and the Ubhayachara Yoga from Jupiter and Mercury. So there's some strengthening things here, but I think it will still continue to be a little bumpy as we move through the month. So the Sun's key attributes in Sagittarius is that the Sun will be bringing lessons of the eternal higher wisdom. The Sun will guide us to follow more sattvic practices to enhance our health and vitality. So this is something one lesson that we're learning from COVID-19 is that we are responsible in many ways for our health. And so it's like about choices, you know, and making those choices is the fabric of how we redefine, you know, how we define the manner in which we move ahead, especially in the US and many other places in the world. There's no single right answer for this whole pandemic. It's a very difficult thing to balance, you know, how we move through this. So this is the idea of embracing the sattvic side of yourself and pray for guidance and acceptance. Often in the practices of yoga, there's an idea of, no, I'm losing the word. The idea is that you undertake a little suffering on your own so that you avoid greater suffering later. So like you do the tapas, the penance first before it comes to you. So little suffering, like we're all suffering because we're all social distancing more. We don't have the ease and comfort, to go and hang out with people so much. But if you embrace that, then you avoid the larger risk, and things like that. But it's the way in which you set your mind when you're doing this. Doing it out of complete fear is not, the fear is then going to weigh on you. So when you say, I'm going to, for right now, I've looked at the things and I can do this to keep myself and others safe. It's that mindset that will help you to have less stress during this time. The aspect from Mars will energize the sun to take action and to restore the Dharma, especially among the leadership of organizations. So we have to realize the sun always indicates leaders at all levels. This is from, like a troop leader for a kids organization all the way up to like CEOs of corporations. But one thing we have noticed in this cycle, as we've all learned, is that the leadership at all levels of government is important. Local council members all the way up to the President of the United States. It's not just the federal government, it's the action the governors have taken and things like that. So we have to look at this because Mars is going to give them, it drives, and sun both represent Dharma, which is right action, which means what is best for all. That it's putting the community, in one way of looking at Dharma over the individual. So this is the energy that's coming through. And I think it's important that we are appreciative and thankful of people who are willing to take on these roles of leadership. It doesn't mean we should not hold them accountable, of course we do, but just the fact that they are willing to, you see so many leaders that are doing the work of Dharma. And so I just like to point that out as well. Sun rules the 5th house from Sagittarius, and it will enhance the benefic side of the sun, and it will promote creative solutions to existing issues. So this is where I think the turn is happening. We're still in the chaos, but we are starting to see that light at the end of the tunnel. And so because he owns the 5th house is creativity. It's about what we produce, what we create. And it also represents past benefic karma. So the sun, as the ruler of the 5th from Sagittarius, will be bringing more and more past life benefits, which I think a lot of this year we have been working on our past life deficits. These things have been coming up and we have to approach them. But now we're going to get some benefits, which will give us the tools that we use to resolve the past life deficits. So, because it's going to be in there for 30 days, I kind of like to take a look at the Nakshatras and the Padas, which represent the divisions in the Navamsha chart, and just see if we can see when the energy will shift a little bit. And on these 3 levels, the Rashi sign in the birth chart, the Nakshatra sign in the lunar chart, and the Pada sign in the Navamsha chart, how those 3 layers are going to line up. So we start here that from December 15th until December 28th, the sun will be in Mula. Now, Mula is a sign, it has the power to ruin and destroy things. So what this means is that we're still going to be in the demolition phase. We're still in the breaking down phase. And so what this does is it's also breaking things apart. So when you break things apart, you often reveal the roots. So more and more, I think, will begin to be revealed. And I think about even, let's take COVID, it's the #1 topic. We are going to learn more because as fortunate as we are, we actually have vaccines rolling out. So we may get deeper understanding of how these vaccines are working because many, many people will be vaccinated in this time period. And so we may learn which vaccines works best in the large scale population. So more information is going to be uncovered. Also, things are closing out. I mean, that's going to happen. Ketu rules Mula, and Ketu's job is to sweep away what's no longer needed. Then from December 28th through January 10th, we are in Purva Ashada, and this is the power of invigoration. So once you have cleared the decks, you've gained new insights, you start to get Venus's energy there that's beginning to move us forward. And we see here the primary element is Sattva here, but it's Rajas and Tamas. So it's really looking at the practical side of what can we do and how can we do this. And then finally, we come in from January 10th until January 23rd, the sun will be moving through Uttara Ashada, and he will be in moving into Capricorn at the end of that. So, but this is ruled by the sun itself. And Uttara Ashada is the power to grant an unchallengeable victory. But I have to put a little warning on that, because the symbol of Uttara Ashada is the simple cot. It's a very simple bed. And this means that we gain the unchallengeable victory through simplifying our life and through embracing the ideals of the sun, who is sattvic. And so this is where we are moving out of the material world. This whole month, we're moving away. But this means that we must embrace what is right in our lives, and we must support what helps everyone in the world. But it doesn't mean this unchallengeable victory comes with like a big party. This is the battle of winning the unchallengeable victory, which means discipline. Tapas is the word I was looking for, which is a little penance and things like that. So this gives us a flavor of how the sun is going to roll out. And finally, we layer on top of that, he will be moving in the D9, the Navamsha chart, which kind of shows what happens, like the fruits that he can deliver. He'll be moving from Aries through Sagittarius through this month, and so we can see from the 15th of December through the 18th. You know, I expect this will get us through the eclipse. Will be good for outcomes. Challenging from January 3rd to January 7th, because this is when he'll be moving through Libra and the outcomes chart, and he'll be debilitated. Oh, I skipped December 28th through 31st. So right over the new year, he'll be in his own sign, which is going to, you know, will be strong and will help, I think, revitalize. When the sun is strong, I think of him revitalizing us and him leading us towards a higher, deeper understanding of the forces we're facing. And then finally, from January 10th to the 13th, he'll be in his own sign of Sagittarius. I mean, he'll be in his current sign of Sagittarius, which is Vargotama. And so this is also when he's lined up with Uttarashada, which is a friend sign. So you can see here that the mental stress, which is represented by the Nakshatra, will continue to be less supportive throughout the month. So this, even though there's opportunities for positive things to occur, this tells us that we're switching mindsets here. And so from the sun's perspective, he's now moving into the last 4 signs of the zodiac, which are no longer about individual development or individual success in the world. It's about the soul's evolution now comes to the point of merging with the cosmos. So these are much bigger issues. Now, I should also state that this is an annual cycle. So for your own chart, the best thing is to check how is late December to mid-January for you normally, because that will give you a baseline to start to work on, and then consider the other transiting factors. So the other transiting factors are, I've been doing these grids every year, so at a glance, you can kind of see that overall Saturn is in Uttarashada in Capricorn his whole time. Jupiter's in Uttarashada, and then the sun at the end of the month will be moving into Uttarashada. So this is setting up what January is about, is a stellium is building, which is, you know, a grouping of planets in Capricorn. And this is going to mark the beginning of 2021. And the first thing over it is Mercury and Sun will transit Jupiter and Saturn. So there's a lot of action in the sign of Capricorn that will be kicking off January for us. We have passed the nodes are in their exalted position for the whole month, and in fact for the whole of 2021. So this will be a guiding force as well. So the key dates, this is a great thing I try to follow these and watch the energy. So on December 16th, Mercury enters Sagittarius. On the 20th, Mercury is in combust the sun. And then on the 21st, we have the great Jupiter-Sagittarius conjunction, which I'm kind of happy to see is actually making the mainstream media from an astrology, from an astronomy perspective. It's great to watch these two together. But the deeper meaning here is that this is marking a new age that's beginning a new 20-year cycle. And so that's something to really look at. The 23rd, Mars will enter Aries after being in after being retrograding back into Pisces. This will help to get things moving forward. And Mars is aspecting the sun, but he'll actually move out of aspect of the sun on December 23rd. But he'll be fifth from the sun. So here we have until February 21st, Mars is in his own sign. So this will help be leading us through the beginning. Interesting, I'm thinking of the, you know, administration change is going to be happening here. The 24th, we have Venus entering Jeshta, and which is a Mercury ruled sign. And then on the 25th, Mercury changes Nakshatras. Sun on the 28th, so we have a lot of, you know, movement here. These nakshatra changes are very interesting to watch because if you have planets in these nakshatras, you're much more likely to feel the effects. The full moon is on December 29th, and then we have, of course, Mercury changing nakshatras. So a lot of this is going along, but here we see Jupiter. I look for the big planets to change nakshatras are very important. So on January 3rd, Venus will enter Sagittarius, and then Jupiter enters Shravana, which is, he's been headed there a long time, and he's been retrograding back and forth in Uttarashada a long time, most of 2020. He's been in and out of that. So you can see here on January 10th, we have Mercury-Saturn conjunction. And then on the 11th, Mercury-Jupiter conjunction. And then we have our new moon on January 12th. So the conjunctions are the more active. It's interesting to note the sign changes because there will be a shift in the energy, but the conjunctions are interesting. So it'll be interesting to look at your thoughts and see you here on the 10th, we have a lot of stuff going on. So this is a red letter day is what I would call it. Now, I just wanted to stop for a minute and say, you know, 2020 was part of the character that made 2020 was so many planets were in their own signs. And now, so we watched this build over the summer where for a while we had all 5 planets in their own signs for a few days. I mean, and they were creating what we call Panchmaha Purusha yogas. These are very powerful signatures in the sky that affect, you know, charts that have that element rising or the moon rising. And I think it's important to look back on the year, and it's kind of like a wave, like this built up, and we had all this energy in the summer that was creating all this change. It was really stirring things up very deeply. And now it's kind of receded, and we only have Saturn that's in Shasha Yoga. And this is going to go on until for several years, because of course Saturn rules both Sagittarius, so both Capricorn and Aquarius. So we have like about a 5-year span where he's moving in and out of his own signs. He's like right around that area. So I think it's interesting to take a really longer term look at this and see that the Shastras tell us that a Sasha Yoga creates a commanding personality who will champion unfashionable causes and is not interested in popularity. He's able to shoulder responsibilities and unafraid of facing karmic debts. So this is the key element of Saturn, is that Saturn treats everyone the same. And so these years that we're living in now of Saturn moving through his own signs are a chance for us to create, in my mind, a more fair and just society, because he is bringing attention to, they say nicely, unfashionable causes, but these are things that are ignored or not acknowledged in society. And so through ignoring them and integrating everyone in on a more equal platform, Saturn will help us to create a more accepting and positive world. And this is something, he's the great equalizer. I still think of the fact he was born to the son who was the king, and then he got thrown out of the court and became a servant. So he really is, this is like what we're facing. And it's very difficult to go through because we all benefit from our place in society. And when that starts to change, it gets uncomfortable. And even the people that are, you know, like discriminated against, as they come into more acceptance, it's good, but change is always uncomfortable. So I think in a lot of ways, I've been really looking back to what was it that brought on 2020. And I do believe this cycle is a part of it, is that Saturn is working very deeply in our society. It's bringing up, we've had the Me Too movement, we've had the Black Lives movement, we've had so many different things that have come about that is like, these are things, these are inequities that we need to address. And this is what Saturn does. He's the great equalizer. You know, so he wants us to pay off all our karmic credits, and he also wants us to pay back all our karmic debts. So this is something to really watch and interesting to meditate on and see what you think about it. So here's my ideas on this month. So if you have Moon or Lagna in Aries, Aries represents the natural zodiac. And so in a way, this one applies to everyone. Sun will be in the 9th house, and it will emphasize the opportunity for higher study and reconnection with mentors and teachers. This may be a moment to re-examine your relationship with your father or the father figures in your life. If your Moon or Lagna are in Taurus, Sun is in the 8th house, and it provides insight into long-term patterns and challenges. Sun will reveal the roots of the situation, especially early in this transit. Gemini. If your Moon or Lagna are in Gemini, the Sun will be in your 7th house and will reveal the true nature of your partnerships and close relationships. The 7th house is a weak house for the Sun, and his message can be confusing. So avoid acting on impulse. I mean, really take time just to gather the information, let all the planets settle down a little bit, and then you can think about engaging in conversation and discussion to make changes or alterations if you see things in these important relationships that you feel are important to address. If your Moon or Lagna are in Cancer, then Sun is in the 6th house, and it brings energy to resolve outstanding conflicts. It will also address recent health issues. Use the energy to take positive steps in both areas. So the Sun is going to give you the energy to overcome these obstacles that are presented. If Moon or Lagna are in Leo, then you have Sun in your 5th house, which empowers your mantra and meditation practice. Children and creative projects will benefit from your wisdom and experience. Visualize yourself to be the magnanimous Surya, another name for the sun. So this is a very, it's a chance for you to harness your creative powers to improve your ease of moving in the world and others as well. If your moon or lagna are in Virgo, sun in your 4th house indicates that it's time to purify and disinfect your home environment at all levels, physical, mental, and metaphysical. This is especially important before we cross into the new year. So take some time. When sun is in Mula, he's stirring up everything anyway. So declutter what you can. I mean, it's great especially when it's dark and cold here in the Northern Hemisphere, to maybe air out the house a little bit, find the warmest day, do some sage or whatever you do to clarify the energy in your place. If your moon or lagna are in Libra, sun in your 3rd house will awaken a strong impulse to socialize. Use your creative nature to develop safe ways to meet these needs, as Rahu in the 8th can bring a lasting negative impact on your health. So, especially for Libras, just recognize that this is going to arise. So, do whatever, wherever you are, do it safely, walks in the park, outside, things like that, Zoom calls, even just scheduling time to have phone calls with your friends keeps you in connection with others. If moon or lagna are in Scorpio, then sun in the 2nd house brings dividends from last month's transits. Continue to develop the themes that emerged for you last month. Ketu in the 1st will deepen the potential for occult knowledge. So this is something for you to just be aware of. Often we do these monthly webinars. I just had this thought to remind you that it all keeps flowing. We're all in a development cycle. So see what arose, continue to follow up and develop. If moon or lagna are in Sagittarius, sun in the 1st house is a great time to strengthen your health. Make 1 or 2 positive changes to improve your physical and mental well-being. Then try to carry them out through the new year. These can be simple changes like a good sleep hygiene, getting to bed early, rising early, taking time to start your day the way you like to start it, rather than the alarm goes off and you're running around getting everything done. Wake up a little earlier and maybe ease into your day. If moon or lagna are in Capricorn, sun in the 12th house is not readily available to support you this month. Therefore, be careful to avoid stressful situations, which can have a negative impact on your sleep, health, and mental well-being. If moon or lagna are in Aquarius, sun in the 11th house reveals your progress over the last year. Be on the lookout for progress and forward motion in areas of your life where you have felt stuck. So Aquarius is a very subtle energy. It's a very subtle sign. It's about balancing and letting go of, like embracing the new and releasing the old. And so it's interesting to look back at your whole life and the whole last year and see where have my gains come from? What efforts have paid off? Because often we don't take time to recognize that. And this will help you to see how your life is unfolding in positive areas. For Pisces, sun in the 10th house brings gains in name, fame, and game. I got this quote from Shobha's talk at the Sedona conference, and I love that. So the 10th house is about, your name, your fame, like your reputation, your fame, and game, like what it is you do. 10th house is the house of karma action. So Pisces, for Pisces, sun in the 10th is going to improve all of those areas. Focus your efforts on sharing your gifts and talents, and many will appreciate your skills. So that's what I have put together this month. I want to thank everybody for participating in this series. I have some stuff to take care of at the beginning of 2021. And then I'm hoping to come back with another series starting with a different topic. next year. So look forward for that. It will be through the American College of Vedic Astrology. So let's see, Bhagya, do we have any questions or comments?
Hi, yes. We actually have one question here.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to read it to you.
Great.
If we have different rising signs from our moon signs, which should we pay closest attention to?
That's a great point. So traditionally, transits are read from the moon first. So you would take the sign where your moon is placed and you would make that the lagna, and then you would read where the sun is from that, and all the transits are read from the moon. This is what the classics say. However, myself and many of my astrologers also read from your ascendant sign as well, because then you can see from two different perspectives. The moon is mainly how it's going to affect you mentally, and because how we see things mentally really affects how we understand the world. But the ascendant chart, the lagna, will tell you how it's going to roll out often in, different, more in the world around you. Yeah, good question.
Okay. We have another question here. How do you create the template to do a solar ingress chart? Thank you so much. I have really enjoyed this program, Loretta.
Oh, great. Yeah. So what I do, I use Sri Jyoti Star. So for the solar ingress chart, I just I know what day it's coming in. Let me see. I'll show you. So in Sri Jyoti Star, I know what day it's happening, and then there's most of the, I know Parashara's Light, everyone has like a little a time tool adjustment. So I just click forward and backwards until I find right at the minute where the sun crosses over into it. Then I save that as a new chart. So I don't have a regular setting. It's something I do by hand. And I apologize right now. There may be a way to do that in Sri Jyoti Star that'll give it. I just may not know how to do it. So I do it by hand.
All right. Are you ready to go to the next question?
Sure.
All right. So Alicia has a question here. She's asking, is there a Kala Sarpa Yoga configuration?
Yes, we are moving into Kalasarpa Yoga season. That's a very astute observation. And how nice that we have this slide here right in front of us. So actually, technically the day it moves in, it won't be. But when Venus crosses Ketu, the Kalasarpa Yoga will begin. And you know what? That is part of this month's cycle. I missed that. But yeah, so when all the planets are inside the nodes, we have Kalsarpa Yoga. Now, there is much debate about Kalsarpa Yoga. Some people would say it's not until Mercury and Venus clear the sign that it would happen, but we will begin a Kalsarpa Yoga cycle this month, and it will go for probably the first 5 months. I haven't done the cycle yet on my annual chart, but what this does is it tends to, in transit, Kalsarpa Yoga intensifies the energy because all the planets are just clustered closer together. So I have found in Kalsarpa Yoga times, I feel a little more tired. I have to like really watch how much I commit to doing. I can get angry very easily, but that's mainly because I'm an Aries rising, so that's my go-to emotion. So whatever your go-to emotion is, you just feel more emotional, and you just have to be aware of it. Classically, there are 5 things Kalsarpa Yoga affects in a chart, and the first one is problems with children. The second is problems with relationships. I think the first one is matrimony. It's matrimony is the most common thing. So watch your relationships, but you know, if you take your personal feelings, and the thing you have to remember is everyone's feeling the Kalsarpa yoga, so everyone feels more on edge. And then it can cause, and children feel more on edge, so there can be more discord in the house, and they may be acting out a little more. Then you have, it can create financial problems, stress at work, and health issues. So basically all of those areas of life, if you look down to them, it's just you feel more stressed, and it can manifest in all those different ways. Great question though. Thank you for pointing that out.
All right. The next question from Teresa. She's asking, what kinds of things should be finished before the end of the year or before January?
Oh, okay. So this would be something that is pretty personal depending on your chart. So if you are working on, I would say the way to find them in your chart is see if there's anything that has arisen in the last 6 months that is problematic. And one way to look at this is to look at what you're kind of avoiding doing. If there's something that's kind of ready to go, but you just feel like you're procrastinating on it, but you feel pretty certain you're going to do it, you just can't find the energy to do it, those would be the things in general in your life. I wouldn't be undertaking a bunch of new changes unless you really feel certain that they're the right things to do. But little things like taking clearing out your home environment, doing all the deep cleaning stuff. It's almost like there's a spring cleaning, but this is a good time to do a winter cleaning, you know, to just get things refreshed, things like that. Yeah, I hope that gives you an idea, but if you sit quietly and ask for guidance on what should help you to what you should be finishing up, it can be a good source that will help you. Thanks.
All right, we have one more question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's from Freddie, and he's asking, what did talk about Sun rules house 5 from Sag? What do you mean house 5 from Sag to Aries, segregate to Aries?
Yeah. Okay, so so Sun is by transit, Sun is transiting Sagittarius. And you are right. Oh my gosh. So as you can tell, there's been a little stress. Sun actually rules the 9th house. See, this is when you do things in your head and you think you're right and you count the houses wrong in your head. So Sun is actually, it still rules the benefic house. So it even rules, so everything holds, that's correct, but the Sun is the 9th ruler. And so the difference between the 5th and the 9th ruler is that the 5th represents past life good karma, and the 9th represents good karma that you have created in this life. So those are the major things. So it still holds that Sun as ruler of the 9th will be bringing positive energy to us. It's just a different source of the karma. But thank you for that clarification. You know, this is why it's impossible to edit your own work. So this is good to have that feedback, and we'll get it corrected here for the video. So yes, Sun rules Leo, which is in the 9th house. So this, if we count them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, Mars rules the 5th house. And Mars moving into the 5th house quickly in this thing will be give also positive results. Thank you, Freddie, for pointing that out. Okay. Anything else?
Okay. Yes, we have few more actually.
Great.
So we have another question from Teresa. She combined two questions here. So her question, for those of us with the Libra rising, would the condition of our Rahu exalted, debilitated, etc., be a factor in the way the illness affects us? And then she's asking, also, how are you so calm?
Let's talk about Libra rising. So, it's a good question, because if Libra is rising, then Rahu, who's in his exalted sign, is in the 8th house. And so an exalted Rahu in the 8th house will bring, 8th house is one of the, a sign, the 8th house is about long-term chronic diseases. And when you have a strong planet there in his exaltation of Rahu, my first impulse on the physical level, so dealing with disease, Rahu is about innovation. Rahu is about novelty. Rahu moving into Taurus is what helped us get these vaccines. So if you are coping with a long-term chronic issue, over this next year, you may talk to your doctor and see if there's any new therapies or treatments or approaches or advice, even like there could be dietary advice that could come forward that could help you ease the symptoms of it. So that's something that I would definitely look at, because Rahu will bring new innovation. So that's a good point. I had never thought of that. Thanks for asking that question. I don't know how I'm so calm. I can tell you, for years and years I've studied yoga and I've done it, and I've been very much kind of, I'm an Aries rising, so I do things for a while and then things fall out and then I restart. I'm always in restart mode. This year, the one thing I have learned is it's no longer optional. And this is what I'm telling a lot of my clients. You have to carve out 10, 15 minutes, whatever you have in a day, to sit, to do your practice, because we're at a very high stakes time, and the other thing is limit your media exposure. The thing to remember is the media everywhere, all media, period, end of sentence, is selling advertising space. So what they're trying to do is keep you involved. And so limit that. We're in an information age. You're not going to miss anything. Limit that and do your practice. It will really pay off. Okay, what are the questions?
We have one comment and one question.
Okay.
So Freddie is saying, it is not Kala Sarpa but Kala Amrita Yoga, all planets direction of Rahu and Kala Sarpa, all planets to Ketu. So he was commenting. I don't think it's a question.
No,
And
Freddie,
then,
that you're absolutely right. There's many different ways of looking at Kalsarpa yogas, and there's not universal. There's Kala Amrita, and then I'm forgetting the other one. I heard a great lecture by Sanjay Rath about this, and I heard him teach on this in New York many years ago. So there are different qualities to that. So yes, you can continue to refine. I just kind of tend to use the more general term, but you're absolutely right. Great. So what's the question?
okay, this is the last question. So this one, I'm going to read it. You mentioned for Libra to be mindful of Rahu in the 8th house and to protect health while socializing. Does this extend to the entire transit of Rahu through 8th house as potentially detrimental to health? Thank you.
Oh, good. So thanks for this clarification. Yes, Rahu in anything transiting your 8th house is a possible indicator of health issues. Any planets there, anything transiting it, that's there. So I give that as just like the baseline. So I don't want people to be overly concerned, because the other thing about Rahu is past life karma. And I mean, he's leading us into the karmic horizon, like he moves us forward. Because he is a malefic, malefics through the 8th house can be good in some ways because they can help you fight disease. But you should just be aware of it. I wouldn't worry too much. What's going to happen with the nodes is going to happen. I have a personal story I'll share with people. I had Rahu just passed through my 3rd house, and I developed arthritis in my right hand. So 3rd house is right arm, right hand. And so it's something that now I'm continuing to work with and heal with, but it's something that has come. And so, you know, there's no need to fear it or worry about it. I mean, you know, take all health precautions as possible. But this is mainly, it's more important because we're in the middle of a global pandemic, is why this came to my mind. So yeah, anything through the house can happen, but if the nodes are bringing it, they're going to bring it. So just be ready to address things as they arise. The one thing you don't want to do is ignore it and put it off in the 8th house, because if it's a chronic condition, it's probably not going to turn around. And I really emphasize this time because Sun is the indicator of your health and your vitality. So this is more on my mind to bring out those particular aspects of the chart. Yeah. Anything else?
All right. That's it for today.
Bhagya, first of all, thank you very much for helping me out. It was great to have you here. And thanks everyone for joining. We'll get this up on YouTube, and I look forward for us meeting up once the new year gets passed and I get my plan together for 2021. Thank you very much. Namaste.